Holy crap, this episode of Dandadan had a certified Wincy and Swaru moment, maybe a couple, but also a certified banger romance plot that made me feel so hard for Okaroon. Seriously, this series has easily one of the best heartfelt romances in shonen, well, right now. So, let's go ahead and break down this episode, but I challenge you to get this video to 700 likes. That's just 3 more likes than last week's video. I double dog dare. So, if you thought JIJI was going to be the first normal character of Dandadan, I mean, what were you thinking? JIJI, immediately fits right into this cast as a weirdo, but heck, that's just fine with me, because JIJI is best boy after all. And Okaroon immediately puts 2 and 2 together as Miss ISA's type, so he feels a little threatened. Until he doesn't, because he immediately goes full Sanji, and let me tell you guys, you never go full Sanji. I mean, Jesus Christ, he calls Momo his sweetie for crying out loud. He's just one slip up from calling her Momo Swan, and JIJI is just one odd figure, immediately asking for a hug, only for Momo to reject him outright and ask for Okaroon's hand in murder. Though, I mean, once again, Seiko seems to hit it off pretty well with another one of Momo's friends. I just love how everyone respects Seiko so much, and any compliment about her beauty always leads to her taking their side, boosting her ego. It's just so funny, and I think it's funny because Seiko is so deadpan about it. I mean, she just well, of course, anyone that compliments my beauty is a genius. Yes, quite. I mean, it's just great. Seiko is easily waifu for laifu, along with, of course, Queen Sensei. We can't forget about her. But here's the crazy part. JIJI is moving in with them, and oh, the drama! And it seems a big part of JIJI's character is deluding himself into believing any sort of slight against him on the part of Momo is in reality just a confession of her love to him. And listen, I don't know about you guys, but JIJI will not be able to topple the deluded Tower of Ira. Get it? Because Leaning Tower of Pisa, deluded Tower of Ira, you get it. I mean, even in the next moment, Ira legit says something insane like, they must be recruiting allies for Ragnarok. Ragnarok? How in the hell is Ira now not only Christian, but now believes in Norse mythology? Actually, these days, in 2024, Ira may seem more normal than not with those kinds of beliefs. And so Ira, seeing Momo's transparent ways, vows to work alongside her for the time being. But when she will be building her own team as well, so she pieces out as Momo loses her brain cells with every consecutive interaction with Ira. Oh god. Poor Momo. We also get one of the cutest scenes so far between Momo and Okaroon. So far, we've seen a lot of, shall we say, marital tension between the two, but not many soft and fluffy scenes. Well, this is one of our really first major ones where Momo gets Okaroon to wave back at her. And you could just, I mean, you can cut the love with a knife. Let's be real here. It's just so palpable. Just the way Science Saru did their body language and facial expressions, especially their facials, they were just so adorable. I'm not sure how to describe it, but you know, what is that swelling feeling of nervousness and excitement you get in your chest? Yeah, that's what this scene did so well to convey, and that's how I felt while watching it. Also, a small side note, Momo's shirt is really cool. It's a fish on the front, and on the back, it's what's left of a fish after you eat it. I don't know, I thought it was really cute, and it fits Momo very well. Of course, she's wearing that. And by the way, this scene, you kind of gotta shake off after you watch it. You almost kind of get lost in the romance. Very well done. Love the voice acting, too. I think Natsuki Hanai so far has been one of the biggest MVPs of this show, and he shines so brightly with this moment. Well, pretty much just about every other moment in Dandadan so far. So here is the deal with JIJI. He's got to move in because both of his parents are in the hospital. Also, the fact that the entire time Seiko is just putty in JIJI's hands. I mean, he is sweet-talking her and everything. Even Momo calls it out, which she says in rebuttal that she's never been moved by emotion once, with a deadpan face, as JIJI does it instantly and she gives it. I mean, seriously, why in the hell is Granny Seiko so accurate to all grannies? This is like one-to-one how my grandmother would act. we get a really interesting moment where JIJI tells Momo that he is sorry for how he treated her as a kid, and that since he moved away, he's been able to gain the ability to see spirits, which one of them was apparently haunting his nice house in the middle of the woods. And let me tell you, holy jeez, yeah, this is a Wincience Waru moment if I had ever seen one. But after this discovery, they hire exorcists, 5, and 3 out of the 5 end up actually killing themselves in pretty dark ways, while the other 2 recommend none other than our lovable hot granny Seiko, who is actually more like a child watching Bakatono with Turbo Granny than an 80-year-old bag of dust, as she apparently is, I guess. And much like in the last episode with Aira, JIJI joins the club and apologizes to Momo to what he did to her when they were children, but Momo just kind of brushes it aside, which is a detail of Momo's character we cannot overlook. Instead of holding a grudge for something that deeply affected her, I mean, remember, in episode 1, she told Orkarun about the boy who bullied her and how it kept her away from her grandmother for a long time. This is a pillar of Momo's character, yet still she doesn't hold that grudge when she would probably be somewhat justified in doing so. Instead, she is focused on helping JIJI. So, in other words, Momo, well, she's a nice girl. She's compassionate, she's caring, and she's thoughtful when she's not doing, well, this, at least. But Seiko relays the news that she ain't doing crap, man. She's planning her ass down in that house and she is watching Bakatono. Okay, no, but really. Her powers don't work outside Komikochi City, so Santa Dodoria won't be breaking out anything in this week's episode of Dandadan. Shame. No hot granny action, you guys. But there is a motivation for this. If she takes on the assignment, she'll buy Momo uniforms until the cows come home. And if you ask me, it's nice, you know, to have an unlimited supply of uniforms to destroy, but I'd probably ask for something a little bit more than that. After all, spirits are, you know, cray-cray. So in a nutshell, the driving motivation of this arc seems to be, well, to get the uniforms. But we get the proper introduction to JIJI as he's transferred to the gang's school. The name is Jin Injoji, and the boys hate him while the girls love him. Basically, non-Genshin Impact players hate him while Genshin Impact enjoyers love him. And he knows it too, or maybe he doesn't. You know, I'm not sure, but he rizzles all over these ladies. It's disgusting. And he gets a seat conveniently next to Momo as JIJI immediately makes her life harder by saying out loud they are very close, and boy, is JIJI a handful. And the guy seems to rub Momo's friends the wrong way too, you know, but good looks and a good, well, scratch that, stupid personality seems to just work on her friends after all. They immediately come around to him as he's doing these goofy but intentionally humorous cute faces. And once again, I say it with confidence now, if you love Genshin Impact, boys, are you eaten today? But the final straw is when JIJI says he and Momo are lovey-dovey, so Momo goes Black Hawk on JIJI's ass and chokes him out in class. But I do love how her friends get onto JIJI because they're already shipping Momo and Okarum. I mean, they even flat out say that they're in a relationship, so they can't do that, which, yeah? I mean, yeah. No, yeah, I guess they are, aren't they? So the thing about Momo and Okarun is that, well, I guess they're basically boyfriend and girlfriend, but it's one of those things where they just haven't made it official or even realized it for sure. They both know they like each other and they're fairly open with their feelings generally speaking. Like, nobody yet knows they just love each other. That's really the issue here. They're just vocalizing and showing everything they feel as they're discovering these feelings. It's just happening slowly because they're so inexperienced and dumber than a sack of wrenches. But yeah, I mean, beyond that, if they were kids, they'd already be committed to one another. No doubts about that. Just a nice detail I noticed. But case in point, Okarun begins to have a mental health spiral as he gets depressed over Momo getting with JIJI and stopping their friendship, yada yada. But I love how Okarun's pathology here is that he simply just wants to be close and hang out with her. He still just considers her a friend, but as a close one, and thus he is worried she'll leave him and take the truck, and the dog, and the kids, and the beer. And all of this is mostly fine for the most part. Like, I think we've all been where Okarun is. However, the fact he thinks he is useless is, I think, more connected to his feelings of insufficiency. He doesn't believe he's good enough because he has led a life of pure rejection by society. So I think the way forward for Okarun is to just be straightforward with his feelings with Momo. Just ask what he means to her and if this means they won't be friends anymore. Simple as that. Just communicate those feelings. But since they're kids and they don't know everything, it is needlessly but understandably complicated. And honestly, I think this really just endears Okarun even more as the MC. He's just so precious and cute. You just want to protect this kid and make sure he's properly raised. So Okarun gets to it with his training as Momo comes by and watches him. He's so in his head he doesn't even really realize that he kind of has this in the bag. I mean, Momo is watching him work out to keep an eye on him. Momo even wants to feed him too. Guys, that's a slam dunk. But when JIJI shows up, things get worse as JIJI has the Pampy flavored yogurt. And honestly, I have no idea what Momo's obsession with Pampy is or this show's obsession, but it's hilarious. I love it. It's a fun word to say. However, seeing this, Okarun gives up as he sees Momo happily talk with JIJI. His only option now is to avoid her and stop talking with Momo. That's how he sees it, at least, which is gonna be hard. After all, they sort of need each other because Turbo Granny and the missing nut and all. But the point is that Okarun is a very sad, sad boy, and I can understand where he is coming from. It's very relatable, I think, to see someone you like getting along with another guy and not to feel a little jealous, but to feel lesser than. Like, I think some people would think Okarun is jealous of Momo or JIJI, but I think that Okarun just is not that insecure or selfish to think that of others. He is very clearly having an issue that is non-tangential to this. In other words, confidence in himself. I think if Okarun wants to continue this relationship with Momo, like he should, he will need to face this dilemma. Does he go back to his old comforting ways of isolation? After all, he's used to it, so it comes easy to him. Or does he face these issues and make great efforts towards fixing them by building up his confidence again? It may seem simple enough, but as a kid, this is a very hard thing to do. So can he do it? I mean, this is also Dandadan, so the answers are probably somewhere between yes and a convoluted adventure of random stuff happening leading ultimately to yes. So basically like every choice in Fallout 4. Yes, yes, and maybe later, but yes, and hell no, but yes. Dandadan this week selected the second option, the convoluted adventure of random stuff happening leading ultimately to yes. Because we see an honest-to-God dude with half of his flesh missing running at Okarun, and seeing this, Momo calling him a dumb bastard. Good one, Momo, your insults are simply perfection, and why that? He doesn't, I don't know. But instead, JIJI ends up saving Momo while he jumps over them. Momo notices something. This dude has Okarun's nut. All right. Okay. All right. Breathe. This was another certified Wincience Waru moment as the chase begins and he goes across power lines, rooftops, heck, even the side of a bus. But they've got the man captured, and in reality, he seems to be a replica of the human body for teaching, as he quite literally bursts into pieces from the pressure of him resisting being caught. It also was a really cool visual too. I do not envy the people who had to animate this with all these small moving pieces, but he ends up putting himself back together in a very impressive fake out as the chase continues. So to find him, since Momo has his heart, literally, she punches it, hears the sound and then runs towards the sound. I mean, pretty tried and true, right? I'm not sure about you guys though, but don't get on Momo's bad side. She is ruthless. Also, turns out the mannequin was trying to find the love of his life. Another mannequin modeled after the female body. Hana, who is in all this garbage, just all bandaged up. The male's name seems to be Taro, and they absolutely love one another. If anything, you'd think this was the climax of a romance anime with how well this reunion was done. But what I love about this is that witnessing the outpouring of love between two plastic objects, Okarun, well, he unlocked something within himself, just like any man would. The words he had been unable to place come falling into the right places as he is able to understand that everything this mannequin says to Hana is exactly the way he feels about Momo. She brought the color into his life and made it worth living again. It made Okarun go out of his shell. That is the power of love that has been, well, compelling Okarun to act. Sure, his organs are very important too, but let's be real. Okarun probably would give them up simply just to interact with Momo, let alone be with her. And Okarun and Momo, I mean, they live in different worlds, just like the mannequins say. Taro doesn't want to give up on her, and neither does Okarun, as we see him in real time toughen up and regain his confidence and his mojo. That a boy, Okarun. Knock him dead. But honestly though, this moment made me want to fall in love. But then I thought, well, I've literally got 0 Riz, so screw that! Oh, cries into a puddle alone. But hey, this episode was freaking awesome. I love how with this series, the romance is such a driving part of it outside of these action sequences. It is a really balanced series that doesn't focus too much on one thing or the other. Plus the romance is really well done too. Momo and Okarun both act like human beings. None of it feels artificial, and most importantly, the writing is realistic when going in on characters individually. For example, this episode focused a lot on Okarun, while the past few episodes focused a bit more on Momo's perspective. And each perspective was pretty well done, so I think honestly this was another really awesome episode of the series. And if you haven't, please, very much, let's get this video to 1,500 likes.